Hey guys, happy holidays to everyone. Hope you were all safe and had a good holiday. So yeah, I finished my template, so I wanted to give it a little test run. So I wrote this the other day. I wrote a piece quickly, a little like fantasy piece, and I thought I would give it a go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you basically what I usually do is sketch out the piece on the piano. I'll have the melody, the chords, and then the bass, and then I'll think about orchestration and make some notes, and I'll put it in the score, and then I'll go from there. So I'm gonna show you that, and then we'll get into. We're gonna do like a live, not live, but like I'm gonna in one sitting try to do the whole piece. So, and as we go along, I'm gonna really what I'm trying to do is figure out if the template's working, and hopefully you guys would be interested in that, and what I put in the template and what it needs once we get going with it. So yeah, stick around. It should be interesting. So let's first listen to the piece, and then we'll talk about some orchestration notes that I made. So here we go. Okay, so obviously that's pretty rough, but it's what I need there to get going. So I like to kind of have that roadmap when I get started. And then what I do is I figure out the orchestration. But before we get into that, I want to actually show you this chord here, which is kind of interesting. Well, it's just a half-diminished chord, but half-diminished seventh. It's this, the A half-diminished seventh, which is A, C, E flat, G. Normally the root would be A, but what I did was I started on A, and then I moved to D. So when I go, actually let me show you that part here. So it's all kind of dependent on the bass here. So actually I use the third of the chord first, which is a C. Right? So from there it could resolve to the B flat chord because it functions as a 7 chord. But what I did was I moved that C up to D. So now the relationships are this A above it, the root of the diminished 7th chord, half diminished 7th chord, is the 5th. Then you have the 7th. Then you have the flat 9. And then like an 11. Right? So then that wants to resolve to G minor, right? Because of that. So that's interesting. You could even do something like that where it comes up like that. Like, so it's a really useful chord. It's very flexible. And it just has that nice sort of lush sound to it. Unlike the fully diminished 7th chord rather, which is more, I don't want to say like, it's definitely more like a classical type chord. Whereas a half diminished 7th to me has more of an impressionist type sound. So anyway, that's a little side note there, but so yeah, let me talk a little bit about the orchestration briefly. The intro I wanted to be just brass. Sort of this almost choral brass type sound, right, for this part. And the bass at this point is playing all the roots, but in the next section, when it repeats, we're gonna have a pedal point in the bass, so just the D, and we're gonna bring the strings in for that. So then we're gonna have strings and brass. So I have this little counter melody in the strings here. I like to write in the counter melodies too, just to, it helps with the orchestration. So that's a good thing to do, I think, if you're working on these. Of course, things change once you get going, but it's nice to have a little sort of blueprint for this thing. And then I want to... So there's that half diminished 7th chord. So here I wanted a color change. So I wanted some darker colors to come in. I wanted the oboe and bassoon to come in. So we're going to have winds and strings here. So brass is going to come out. I think, I mean, for now, that's the idea of it. So with this melody here, we want to bring in the horn in for that. Da, 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 da. For that. Sorry about my terrible singing. So for that. And now the brass is in for this at the end here. So let's talk a little bit about orchestration, because I think it's important when you have a piece, like as the moods change in the piece, you want to think about the colors changing too, the orchestration of it. You don't want to force it, but for this part, I heard in my head, I heard like the colors change for that. So I want to reflect that with some woodwinds. So it's nice that it just adds another dimension to your piece. It's really important. I would say it's as important as your melodies is the orchestration. So something to be aware of. Do you want it to be soft and warm? Do you want it to be darker? That all adds to the, like if we used clarinets here instead of oboe, like clarinets with the horn, instead of oboe and bassoon, it would be a totally different experience. So anyway, horns here. Then after this section, for this I want all strings, at least for the first pass. So I want strings there for the first pass. Then we're going to bring in some horns. But also I'm toying with the idea of having choir here, because it has a cool sort of, not eerie sound, but you know, this part. Well, yeah, we have these third modulations here and stuff. So a choir could be cool there. We'll think about that maybe. So when this melody comes in, I want it to be pretty big and strong. So I'm thinking strings with horn. And horn will play the lower octave. So if we hear this melody here. Well, we're going to think about that because it would be in 3 octaves if I were to do that. So this could be strings, and then the horn would be down here. It depends how big we want to go with it. Or even trumpet. So that's a possibility. But also we're going to have the horns play the melody there too. Let me get out of this for a second. I mean, horns are going to play harmony too. So we'll think about it. But that's the idea of have. I'm hearing that brass and string combination for that. And then in the next part, strings and clarinets. We're going for a warmer kind of tone for this next part. So let's get. So here's that chord again, incidentally, but. And I have the basses doing that. There they go. That kind of thing, climbing D minor thing. So this is all strings, some pizzicatos here. But this counter melody I was thinking for the clarinet here. That'll sound nice. With clarinets, I think. With this. This is really, strings are really quiet here. I don't know why I did the melody there, but. Because I like this run here, I think it'll sound nice with the clarinet. Right? Look at that. So this would be the clarinet. It's just going to add a nice warmth to that, to what the strings are doing. That's a great combination, clarinets and strings, for that warm kind of sound. So, and the rest of this is going to be all like these. It's going to be strings. Pizzicatos with these little spiccato kind of détaché. Here we're going to have the second clarinet enter. Let's think about the clarinet. It sounds really nice higher too, like a clear tone. I mean, I thought about flute there. We'll have to think about that as we get going, but I'm pretty sure I want the pair of clarinets for that. Okay, then after this, I want a 2D big orchestra. Everything comes in there. Nice swell there with some timpani maybe and cymbal. there I want to get like, it's going to be a swell and then like this, to this dreamy kind of atmosphere. So I'm thinking celeste, Glock, strings, maybe solo violin for this part. This. Something sort of just that lonely type of solo instrument. Maybe oboe could work too, but we'll see. It's either going to be oboe or solo violin. So you notice I waited here with the bass. I didn't come right in with the, because I want to, that feeling that you're sort of suspended. If we had put the bass in there, it would give you that grounded type of, you know, if I came right in with this, right? And it makes the listener kind of, you kind of long for that bass. So then when it comes in, it's a nice sort of, you know, it's all about tension and release in music, really. It's still a suspended feeling, but now we have that lower. It's going to be nice to have the basses enter a little later. And that's it. So yeah, let's get into it.